Welcome to SAM Conversation, a program of South Asia Monitor, to discuss Project Udbhav, which was a collaboration between Indian Army and the United Service Institution of India to explore India's military heritage. It is our pleasure to welcome Major Gen Sudhir Vombatkere, an Army sappers or engineers officer who was commended by the Guinness records for designing and executing the construction of the Khardungla Bridge in 1982 at 18,380 feet. It was then the highest bridge in the world, and he had it made on an ice foundation. That is not his only talent. He is been very active strategic affairs analyst who has been commenting on many vital issues. Welcome to South Asia Monitor, sir.
Thank you, Colonel Anil Bhat. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Sir, actually, I think we can say it's a case of Der Aaye Durust Aaye when you start exploring the the military treatises on war literature, ancient war literature in India. We have the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, Kautilya's Arthashastra, Banabhatta's Harsha Charitra, Chanakya Niti with its 7 principles, the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samveda, Atharva Veda. And the 7 principles of Chanakya's Niti, knowledge is power, discipline and focus, plan strategically, adaptability, choose associates wisely, learn from failure, and hard work and patience. The principles of war in the Western world, or as framed by the British Army, which raised the Indian Army, they are about exactly the same, only in different words. There is also what comes up with questions that come up, sir, is did we at all use any of these principles? Did any of our founding leaders think of delving into these this literature, these treatises? Let's in the 1947-48 war, the first one with Pakistan, the 1962 India-China war, the 1965 India-Pakistan war, the 1971 India-Pakistan war, and the very long, low-intensity war or export of terrorism that has been on from Pakistan. I request you to throw light on all of these, sir.
Okay, I've got that, but before I answer your question, I would like to just make a few observations on the title of this event today, this program, and on the Project Udbhav. The title of today's interview is Applying India's Ancient Military Wisdom to Address Its Security Challenges. Now, it is about India's ancient military wisdom. I just would like to say that wisdom is something which only a person possesses. And knowledge is different. Knowledge can be possessed by people, it can be possessed by society, but wisdom can only be possessed by people. And Chanakya definitely possessed wisdom. And he put down the, from his wisdom, he set out the Arthashastra. He wrote it, and the Arthashastra is a body of knowledge. And that body of knowledge is Artha means on economic and political issues. And this Shastra, in this case, it means book or manual or a compendium of the principles which he has expounded. Now, knowledge, as I said, can be with people, it can be in books, it can be with society. But wisdom is something which transcends time and space or time and place. So, to say that that the wisdom, the military wisdom of Chanakya belongs to India or belongs to Hindus is not right. It transcends time and space, and it belongs to humanity. Similarly, the art of war, the Chinese general Sun Tzu, his art of war also shows wisdom. He has set it down in his book Art of War. It belongs not to Chinese but to humanity as a whole. And while it belongs to humanity, let us understand that neither the knowledge nor the wisdom gives us any ownership over it. Anybody can use it. And coming to Chanakya's wisdom, it is overarching. It overarches many subjects, and the four subjects which are the major subjects which he talks about in Arthashastra are statecraft, economics, politics, and the military. Military is also one of the issues in Arthashastra. Now, coming to the strategy, uh, what uh, what Chanakya says in his Arthashastra is really what is called realpolitik. It is being able to run politics or run diplomacy through particular case circumstances rather than based only on ideology or on some particular code. So this Arthashastra is realpolitik, and therefore it is not Hindu. It belongs, as I said, to humanity. Now, coming to Project Udbhav, its objective is limited. It is not strategic. It is rather limited, and it has got some way to go before it becomes strategy. Now, to go to uh, your question on how this military wisdom, if I may call it that, it's not military wisdom; it is the principles of war. The principles of war were used by our armed forces in 1947-48, in 1962, but the failure happened somewhere else. And if that failure happened somewhere else, it is strange. We don't learn from successes, we only learn from failures. And why is it that the Henderson Brooks report has not been made public, even though it is how many, 50, 60 plus years since it was written? So in all the subsequent operations also, the Arthashastra principles of war of Arthashastra were used. Whether it is following Arthashastra or not is not important. The point is those principles were used. And those principles, as I pointed out in my article, were also used by the Muslim invaders. They were also used by the British, and they were used very successfully. So we have also 1971, for example, one of the points of Arthashastra is that you have to choose the time of the war or the battle. And Prime Minister Indira Gandhi asked then General Sam Manekshaw to take action to go into East Pakistan in June 1971. But he said, no, if I go in now, I will run into trouble with the monsoon. So I will choose my time. And he chose a time and he made it December, and that's how we won. So you see the points with Arthashastra is not that why we didn't do it, why we didn't use Arthashastra. We did use it. It is not that the military principles of the 10 principles of war which we have learned from the Western is nothing but the same as the Arthashastra principles of war. It is the same as Sun Tzu's principles of war. So we have been very successful in using it. There have been failures, of course, but then its shortcomings are there everywhere. Back to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sir, you come up till 1971, and you very pertinently brought out all the points. Then the, I'd like to put across a point of our relationship with the Chinese, our military relationship with the Chinese on the very long line of actual control. In 1967, there were some skirmishes at Nathula Chola. For a few weeks, we lost 67 personnel. They lost about 400 or more. The exact figure is not known. But they pressed very hard for us to come to an agreement of never firing at each other. They did not stop breaking all the rules of all the agreements that they made. But, they made us, or let's say have we been too soft in dealing with them, sir?
What do you say? Where have we been?
Too soft in dealing with them?
No, I don't think so. In 1967, in fact, when the Chinese forces came south, it was General Sagat Singh who gave them a bloody nose, and they have not forgotten that.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
But after that, they said, let's not fire at each other. And then in 2020, at Galwan, when they killed 20 of our personnel, we still dealt with them without any firearms.
No, we must understand that the army, the armed forces, they execute the operations based on political will, political orders. So the army went in without firearms because there must have been some instructions from Delhi, from the army headquarters, perhaps, and where army headquarters got their instructions from, we know.
Yeah. But these, with all that happened, we are still following in the period between 1967 and you can say for 50 years. They in 75 October, they killed five personnel of 5 SIM rifles, 4 personnel of 5 SIM rifles by torture, not by bullets. They made a mockery of keeping this relationship without bullets, but otherwise it went up to it was often managed by pushing, pulling, and by fisticuffs.
Our army is no less than any other army in the world. If we are given a free hand, I'm sure we'll give the Chinese a bloody nose on the border.
No,
But the point is not on the border. There is further, it should not escalate where we may be at a disadvantage. So there are reasons for us not pursuing these things further. And it's about the encroachments that China is doing all along the border, some 3,400 kilometers of LAC. They are encroaching in several places. and they've got demand of the whole of Arunachal Pradesh, at
Arunachal.
least the northern part of Arunachal Pradesh. And we've got to keep swallowing it because we are trying to handle it by diplomacy, and the diplomacy isn't working.
Well, it, it just remains to be seen, sir. The Indian soldier has shown tremendous uh, patience and by not getting provoked even in 2020, there was a great reaction at the level of soldiers, but it was done without firearms, and the official figure was, I think, 43. I think the actual figure they say could go into almost 100.
It's very sad, yes. And after that affair was over, and China decided to pull back, and we also pulled back. They are following their policy of two steps forward and one step back,
Yeah.
and then
Sir,
they established a post little higher up in the Galwan Valley, and we vacated the Kailash Heights. Why did we vacate the Kailash Heights?
very good question, sir. Why did we vacate those? They were giving us
Yes,
a tremendous advantage over them
exactly,
to
exactly.
negotiate to negotiate also.
So it is not that the corps commander or the div commander didn't know what the hell he was doing. He must have been asked to vacate it. After all, he's a man with so much experience, and he knows the advantage of occupying a height, overseeing the Chinese position. And then after that, after we vacated the Kailash heights, the Chinese have built a whole bridge across Pangong Tso.
Sir, sir. And it's not only that, sir, even after the recent big, it was made much of that Demchok, they are withdrawing, or we don't really know what it has amounted to, because there are many questions regarding the patrolling, which is a part of managing this line of actual control. Um,
Yes,
and there may be about 600 or 700 villages which they made, which have military applications also. I mean, there's so many ways they are breaking the rules. We've had co-commanders meetings, 24 of them, which are
yes,
long, very
yes.
long affairs,
Hmm.
uh, which have amounted to nothing, sir. And it's just, it's not that this this army lacks, in two world wars, it got acknowledged as about the best army in the world, and it has functioned like that. But when up till the first many decades when the Congress was in power, you could say okay, they were soft. But as we see that since 2014 also, um, the capability of the Indian Armed Forces is certainly not being exercised, and not with an not with the aim of uh, having a full-fledged war, but certainly, sir, to keep things in check, so to speak.
Yes, you're right.
Because unfortunately, both the Chinese and the Pakistanis understand the language of force much better than any other.
I think they understand very well the language of force by the Indian Army or by the Indian Air Force. They understand it very well. But in the case of Ladakh, where we had the Galwan incident, all those encroachments by in Pangong Tso area also, all those areas, their encroachments were they were very happy with what our Prime Minister said. He said, "Koi nahi ghusa," and that is what the Chinese are saying. Agar koi nahi ghusa, then what are you complaining about?
You said it, sir. In fact, it is Defense Minister, Mr. who's made this statement number of times कि एक इंच भी नहीं हमने दिया Ekinspionen and Ilia, which became a little bit of a mockery because during the BRICS summit, finally it came to light that there is some territory which they've taken and which they now say they will disengage from.
Yeah,
So,
these are all the smaller points. But my main thrust of my article and my argument is that China has, by using their strategy and expanding their influence into South Asia, they have, and the meeting that happened on the 4th of October 2023 in Lhasa. The Chinese called Pakistan top officials of Pakistan, of Bhutan, of Sri Lanka, of Bangladesh. They all came, they attended the meeting. And they said, we are calling this meeting in order to expand our economic, political, and military influence in South Asia. So they had a strategy. They are doing that. And 17 days, 7 days later, we had this Project Udbhav, which says that we are trying to improve our national security. Why do we have such a limited aim? And in Project Udbhav, in the launching of Project Udbhav, there was the chief of air staff was present, the vice chief of the naval staff was present, and they didn't pull in the navy and the air force into the Project Udbhav. It is only the army which has made this so-called what do they call it? Uh, Initiative. This
initiative or a
far-seeing,
collaboration.
yeah, some such word they used, and it is some a vision. It is a vision of great foresight. But the point is that they did not call the Navy and the Air Force. They are not involved in this. And also, if it is a matter of national security, they should be also looking at other relevant ministries. Because today the nation goes to war, not only the armed forces.
No
So you
doubt,
have to have
no
the
doubt.
other key ministries also involved. The External Affairs Ministry, the Home Ministry, the Finance Ministry, the of the Communications Ministry. All these key ministries have got to be involved, so that we can look at national security. Now, if you're looking at national security, do we have a national security policy? Do we have a strategy? We have the National Security Council, which was formed in Prime Minister Vajpayee's days, and it is still there. They haven't dissolved the National Security Council, and the chairperson of the NSC is ex officio the Prime Minister of the country, and the National Information Advisor is the ex officio secretary of the NSC. But have we got a document? Have we created a document? And why is there no armed forces officer at a high level in the NSC? So these are all questions that we need to address before we talk really about strategy. And but in any case, we can see that they have limited it to finding linking up ancient wisdom with modern military practices to create a new military pedagogy. That means they are going to be using it for training. What about actual fighting? So these are the concerns which I have. It is very troubling to see that we are not facing up to the Chinese as we should be facing up to them. They have surrounded us in the north and from the west, north, and east, and in the south through their string of pearls.
The,
We are completely surrounded. And now we had that port, Chabahar port. We were using it. And today's morning's news, President Trump has put the sanctions back on Chabahar port as for us.
oh,
So we will have trouble in getting oil from there. So we are getting pushed about the place.
In fact, the Chabahar port was going to be advantageous with the Afghan Taliban, getting closer to India, and also uh, our relations with Iran. Because
Yes,
this has
oil.
been Iran, where the Chabahar port, which has been developed by India. And
Yes, we have spent $2 billion on Chabahar Port.
yes, yes, and um, all three countries would have benefited, and particularly Afghanistan, which needs a lot to be done for it.
No, we were able to resist it so far by various means, but I hope we will resist this also. This is this morning's. You can check it out.
No,
This
no,
morning's.
it's not surprising, because when you start talking about Trump sanctions, from whatever we've heard him, um, say, and whatever is being expected, um, then it's a it's fantasia. It's part fantasy, which we never know. He's trying to put into practice. Would you like to add anything more about how what we should be doing? Um,
Yeah, what we could be doing is very important. According to Arthashastra, you have to go from within to out. You have to have a stable and wealthy state. And that comes through good governance, which is also part of Arthashastra. And we have got, and it means that all the people should be satisfied in a good frame of mind. There should be social harmony and peace within the country, all part of Arthashastra. But we have got people who are trying to actively break fraternity, and the social unrest is not reducing. If at all, it is increasing. And with that condition, how are we going to face an external enemy? You cannot, use. Already, we have got three fronts: the Western Front, the whole Northern Front, and now the Eastern Front with Bangladesh.
Bangladesh.
Uh, so yeah, so it's going to be very, very difficult unless we start following Arthashastra properly.
Um, Lastly, sir, do you think there should be um, there should be a little bit of study on this in the academies?
No, I don't think so. It is not for academies. We have to understand that we have already been doing all these things. By studying, it's not going to help. You've got to do. You've got to walk the path.
Absolutely, no doubt, no doubt.
Now, the Army Training Command has made a list of 75 stratagems. In 2022, not recently, they made a full study of the Arthashastra and other treatises, and they have made 75 stratagems, which all other ranks included are supposed to read and understand. What is the use of reading and understanding? You have to implement it. That is the point.
I think, sir, uh, you put a lot of things, which need to be uh, which need to be very seriously considered. One can only hope that uh, they are, and whenever, better late than never. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Colonel Bhatt. Thank you.